The coffee was still steaming when Donna White vanished in Grand Rapids, Michigan, a city of over 190,000 people. The night of November 14, 2008, descended with the biting cold of late autumn, just before the first snow. At 10 p.m., coworkers saw Donna, a 22-year-old, leave the coffee shop where she worked, holding her phone and a thin jacket. In the dimly lit parking lot, her silver sedan remained, doors unlocked, keys still in the ignition, with her purse and jacket inside. A witness recalled seeing her in a tense conversation with a man nearby, but then Donna's figure melted into the night as if she had never existed. What happened in the next 30 minutes would haunt Grand Rapids for over a decade. Before diving into the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on the latest cases. On November 14, 2008, Grand Rapids, Michigan, was cloaked in early winter chill, with gray skies and whistling winds cutting through quiet streets. That night, Donna White, 22, finished her shift at 10 p.m. at a small coffee shop on the corner of Division Avenue. She was used to the late shift rhythm, wiping tables, collecting cups, bidding farewell to the last customers, and locking up under flickering neon lights, casting long shadows on the wet sidewalk. Coworkers said Donna smiled and said goodbye, though she seemed tired after a long shift, still carrying her usual polite, brisk demeanor, as if eager to get home and rest. They vividly recalled her walking quickly toward the parking lot under the dim yellow glow of a street lamp, phone in hand, a dark sweater draped over her arm. No one imagined it would be the last time they saw her. 30 minutes later, Donna's silver sedan was found at the entrance to a small parking lot, just a few blocks from the shop. The doors were unlocked, keys still in the ignition, her purse intact on the passenger seat alongside the jacket her friends saw her carrying. These details immediately puzzled the police. At first, they considered the possibility that she had left voluntarily, perhaps to meet a friend or take a drive before returning. But that theory quickly collapsed when all her personal items were found: the jacket essential for the cold November night, the purse with her ID and cash, and her phone, which Donna rarely let out of her hand. A young woman wouldn't easily walk away from her car into the freezing night without taking anything. The scene of the abandoned car, with belongings untouched and keys in the ignition, stood as silent evidence of something deeply wrong. In the still air of that Grand Rapids night, the silence became a chilling warning of a tragedy just beginning. Donna's family was notified that night when police called, reporting her car found near the coffee shop, but no sign of her. Shock rippled through their home. Her mother burst into tears, collapsing into a chair, while her father, trembling, threw on a coat and rushed out. Within half an hour, the family was at the scene, where the flashing red and blue lights of police cars cast jagged shadows on the cold pavement. Mrs. White clung to an officer's arm, repeatedly asking, "Where's my daughter? Where is she?" Her eyes red and fixed on the silver car being sealed off. Donna's coworkers, still in their coffee shop uniforms, arrived too, insisting she would never leave without her phone, purse, or jacket. Fear quickly spread to nearby neighbors, and under community pressure, police launched a search that night. Patrol teams fanned out across Division Avenue, flashlights sweeping dark corners and narrow alleys, checking every roadside bush. K-9 units were deployed at Rosa Parks Circle, circling stone paths and sniffing under trees damp with night dew. Along the Grand River, an emergency dive team was called in, their lights piercing the dark, churning water. Searchers with flashlights walked the riverbank, shouting Donna's name, hoping for a faint response. But the night passed in silence, broken only by the howling wind and occasional barks of the K-9 sow. Meanwhile, the parking lot where the car was found was tightly cordoned off. Yellow tape blocked all entrances, and technicians in white hazmat suits scoured the vehicle's interior with UV lights. They collected tiny fibers, meticulously noted mud on the floor mats, and lifted fingerprints from the doors. A plastic bag in the trunk, containing a few unfamiliar hairs, was immediately sealed. Every detail could be a piece of the truth, and the pressure to find answers made the air thick and suffocating. At dawn, a witness came forward. A middle-aged man from an apartment across from the parking lot said that around 10:20 p.m., he saw Donna arguing with a tall man in a dark hoodie through his window. He couldn't hear the conversation but noticed Donna's tense gestures while the man pressed closer, crowding her. When he looked again, both were gone. His account sent chills through the police and left Donna's family sobbing in despair. They clung to the faint hope she was still alive. But the reality of her mysterious disappearance, alongside a strange man, opened a new, haunting chapter. By morning, news of Donna White's disappearance swept the city. Local papers ran the story, radio stations broadcast urgent bulletins, and social media flooded with images of Donna's youthful face. Hastily printed posters with "Missing. Have you seen Donna White?" appeared on bus stops, utility poles, and community boards. Grand Rapids was shaken. Crowds gathered at the scene, standing behind yellow tape, whispering, speculating, both fearful and angry. Everyone agreed a young woman couldn't just vanish in half an hour. That first night ended without answers. While the White family wept together, police huddled in grim discussion. Donna's friends held each other, speechless. Amid the chaos, the biggest question echoed through the city. Where did Donna White go that fateful night, and who was the mysterious man in the dark hoodie? The dawn of November 15th brought an unprecedented tension to Grand Rapids. The city seemed to transform into a massive search grid. After a fruitless first night, police escalated the hunt for Donna White. Roads leading out of town were blocked, and patrol cars dotted the landscape. Helicopters circled above, their spotlights sweeping rooftops and vacant lots. On the ground, K-9 units continued sniffing around the parking lot, leading searchers outward, followed by officers, volunteers, and Donna's friends. They split into small groups with maps, radios, and prodding sticks, scouring every inch of the cold ground. Police also sent divers back to the Grand River, where the murky, rushing water was searched for any sign of Donna. Divers in black rubber suits plunged into the freezing river, their shapes flickering under spotlights as onlookers held their breath. Every plastic bag or scrap of clothing pulled from the water was carefully bagged, though most turned out to be debris. That afternoon, a discovery stopped hearts. A volunteer found a mud-stained white women's shoe a few miles north of the scene, resembling one Donna often wore. It lay abandoned by the roadside, laces intact, as if discarded in haste. The news reached the command center instantly. Donna's family broke down, clinging to each other in terror. They were shown photos of the shoe, and her mother nearly fainted, sobbing. "It looks so much like hers." The press seized the story, fueling public panic. Afternoon news broadcasts featured the muddy shoe with bold headlines. "First clue in Donna White case." Police rushed the shoe for analysis, checking its size, brand, and comparing it to Donna's purchase records, then testing fabric samples. The results crushed hopes. It wasn't hers. Though similar in style, the size was off by half, and Donna's usual shoes were still at home. The mud on the shoe didn't match the soil near the parking lot. It was a cruel coincidence, a false lead that shattered the family and community's fragile hope. When this was announced, Grand Rapids sank into deep disappointment. Donna's family spiraled into panic. Her mother was hospitalized for exhaustion, while her father stayed at the scene, staring blankly at the spot where Donna was last seen. Her siblings joined search groups, begging anyone with suspicious findings to report them. They were torn between hope and despair. Police pressed on, expanding the search radius to 20 miles, checking vacant lots, abandoned warehouses, and even roadside drainage ditches. Helicopters lit up the suburbs on the second night, their engines keeping residents awake. Morning papers featured Donna's face with "Still Missing" in bold, and community pleas for help grew urgent. But danger emerged amid the urgency. Rumors. Some claimed to have seen a girl like Donna at a gas station outside town. Others reported she'd been taken to Chicago. Each time, the family rushed out in desperation, only to return empty-handed, sinking deeper into chaos. When the shoe was confirmed unrelated, some in the community questioned the police's competence. On TV, critics fumed. How can a girl vanish in the middle of a city with no trace? They misidentified a shoe. What are they getting right? Pressure mounted on investigators. But their greater fear wasn't public opinion. It was time. Every hour reduced the chances of finding Donna alive. On the second night, search teams gathered at a local church for a briefing. No new leads emerged, except for faint tire tracks near the parking lot, too vague to analyze. Exhaustion and tension hung heavy. Everyone shared the same unspoken question. Had Donna vanished forever, dissolving into the night without a trace? The bleak sunlight of the third day brought no hope, only exposing darker gaps in the investigation. With the shoe confirmed irrelevant, police turned to Donna's personal life, focusing on close relationships. Mark Daniels, her ex-boyfriend, stood out. They had dated for nearly a year, but the relationship ended months earlier due to his excessive jealousy. In Donna's phone, police found old texts from Mark, some hostile, including one threatening, "If you leave me, you'll regret it." This became the focal point. Local media blared. Ex-boyfriend, prime suspect in Donna White case. Mark's image, a 25-year-old with a gaunt face and dark eyes, flooded TV screens. Reporters swarmed his home, demanding, "Did you have anything to do with Donna's disappearance?" Police summoned Mark for questioning. In a stark, brightly lit room, he sat hunched, sweating. Detectives presented the threatening texts, asking why he wrote them. Mark sighed, voice shaky. "I loved her so much, but Donna couldn't handle my control. I wrote those in anger, not thinking they'd be seen as murder evidence." He claimed minimal contact since their breakup and said he was in Detroit for a friend's birthday the night Donna vanished. Skeptical, police pressed, "Were you jealous when Donna dated others? Did you ever follow her after the breakup?" Mark shook his head, eyes red. "I messed up, but I didn't hurt her." As the interrogation unfolded, media-fueled public frenzy. Articles and radio shows painted Mark as a dangerous suspect, using fear-mongering tones. A jealous young man, could he have made Donna disappear? Neighbors whispered about seeing Mark loitering outside the coffee shop, or arguing loudly with Donna in public. The public seemed to convict him before any trial. Even Donna's desperate family wavered, recalling her stories of Mark's controlling behavior. But investigations can't rely on emotion. Police demanded Mark's phone and checked location data. Technicians analyzed call logs, GPS, and cell tower signals. The results were clear. On November 14th at 10 p.m., when Donna left the shop, Mark's phone pinged in West Detroit, over 150 miles from Grand Rapids. Travel between the two in a few hours was impossible. Friends confirmed Mark was at the birthday party all evening, with photos as proof. The data and alibis aligned, ruling him out. When this was announced, public opinion flipped. Papers that once condemned Mark printed smaller corrections. Mark Daniels cleared as suspect. But the damage was done. A man seen as a killer by the town, then released, became a stark example of the harshness of criminal investigations. Mark was both relieved and enraged, shattered by baseless accusations. Donna's family, hearing Mark was cleared, felt conflicted. They were relieved the man who threatened their daughter wasn't the culprit, but fear grew. If not him, then who? The shadowy man in the dark hoodie reported by the witness loomed larger, chillingly mysterious. Police were back to square one, realizing the culprit might not be someone close to Donna, but a dangerous stranger still out there. With each passing hour, the void around Donna's disappearance grew darker, forcing the investigation toward more unpredictable possibilities. With Mark Daniels cleared, Grand Rapids police returned to the scant clues in the case, this time focusing on security cameras near where Donna vanished. A team of technicians was sent to a 24-hour supermarket a few blocks from the coffee shop, which had an old camera system facing the parking lot. They spent hours reviewing footage from November 14th. The grainy, noisy images revealed a detail at 10:05 p.m. just after Donna left the shop. A dark-colored pickup truck appeared, slowly passing and seemingly following her silver sedan. No one in the room could deny it looked suspicious. The truck stayed close, trailing through 2 intersections before both vehicles vanished from the camera's view. This was immediately reported to superiors. Police announced it to the press as the first visual evidence of Donna possibly being followed. The next day, the Grand Rapids Press ran a bold headline, "Mystery Truck Key Clue in Donna White Case." News broadcast replayed the blurry clip circling the truck in red. Public reaction exploded. Some called it a kidnapper's vehicle, others a coincidence. Donna's family, both terrified and hopeful, prayed this was the lead to bring her back. Police traced the clue, reviewing hundreds of registered trucks in the area, focusing on those matching the footage. Within a week, they identified a black Ford F-150, the closest match, owned by Thomas Keene, a middle-aged delivery driver from the city's south suburbs. Police surrounded his home, searched the truck, and brought him in for questioning. The event was a media bombshell. Headlines screamed, "Suspect arrested with truck linked to Donna White." Neighbors described Thomas as reclusive and gruff, sometimes arguing when drunk. The community quickly believed police had their man. Donna's family followed the news trembling, their eyes flickering with hope after days of despair. In the interrogation room, Thomas Keene sat stone-faced pale. Police showed the video, pressing, "Where were you on November 14th? Did you follow Donna White's car?" Thomas shook his head, insisting he wasn't in Grand Rapids that night. He claimed he was in Muskegon at his niece's birthday party. Skeptical, police demanded proof. Thomas provided a family video showing him at the dinner table at 10:15 p.m., backed by multiple witnesses. His phone's GPS and gas station receipts confirmed his truck was in Muskegon, over 40 miles from Grand Rapids, when Donna disappeared. The truth shifted the investigation. The truck in the footage wasn't Thomas's, just a similar model and color. Technicians admitted the camera quality was too poor for accurate identification. With his alibi verified, Thomas was released. He left the station furious and humiliated, telling reporters, "You made me a murderer in my neighbor's eyes. Who gives me my reputation back?" The public was shaken again. Grand Rapids, which pinned hopes on the truck, was disillusioned. Papers that condemned Thomas ran quieter retractions, "Truck lead, wrong direction." Donna's family sank deeper into despair. Her mother collapsed again, and her father, furious, told reporters, "We waited day after day, only to get another false trap." In the police meeting room, the mood was grim. Investigators knew the case was sliding into a dead end. 2 major leads, the ex-boyfriend and the mystery truck, had collapsed. The lead officer wrote in the report, "We've spent hundreds of hours but have no solid evidence. The culprit, if there is one, is playing a game of cat and mouse, and we keep chasing shadows." Yet fear lingered in the community. The truck in the footage, though not Thomas's, remained an eerie mystery. Whose was it? Was it truly linked to Donna's disappearance? The question hung in the air, plunging the family, public, and investigators into deeper unease, paving the way for new doubts and mistakes. With the dark truck lead debunked, pressure intensified on Grand Rapids police. Public criticism grew sharp, with media demanding, if not the ex-boyfriend, if not the truck owner, who made Donna White vanish in the heart of the city. Amid the tension, a new detail emerged from coworkers who shared Donna's late shift. A young colleague recalled that weeks before Donna's disappearance, the coffee shop had a regular customer, about 40, thin, with messy hair and piercing eyes. He never ordered anything complex, just a black coffee, but his habit was unsettling. He'd sit for hours by the window, eyes locked on Donna. He stared at her like no one else existed in the shop. The coworker said, hands trembling as she recalled. This information immediately sent the investigation team into high alert. They summoned all employees who had worked the late shift with Donna for further questioning. Several others confirmed the presence of the mysterious customer, adding that he spoke little, had a deep voice, and occasionally scribbled in an old notebook. Once, Donna had seemed uneasy, whispering to a friend that she felt uncomfortable under his gaze. This account instantly fueled a theory: could this strange man be the one obsessed with Donna, following her to the parking lot the night she vanished? Police brought in a sketch artist to create a portrait based on the descriptions. The drawing depicted a gaunt face, deep-set eyes, a hooked nose, and disheveled hair. When the sketch was released, the community was shaken. Within 24 hours, dozens of calls flooded the hotline, with many claiming they had seen the man wandering around the market or near the bus station. Some were certain he had lived in a cheap boarding house west of Grand Rapids. The press ran stories with bold headlines: "Mystery Man in Coffee Shop, the Real Culprit." Police followed every lead. They visited the boarding house, questioning residents. The manager confirmed that months earlier, a man matching the description had rented a room but left abruptly, leaving behind a filthy space and cryptic scraps of paper. In a trash bin, they found old receipts and a bus ticket to Chicago. The team held their breath. Could this be the breakthrough? When Donna's family heard the news, hope surged. Her mother sobbed upon seeing the sketch. "I saw him once, standing across the street, when Donna got off work." Her confirmation fueled public belief that police were close to catching the culprit. Many began to believe Donna had been stalked and abducted by a stranger. The community, exhausted by prior mistakes, clung to this lead like a lifeline. Yet, as before, harsh reality shattered hope. When police coordinated with Chicago authorities to track the man, they identified him as Richard Coleman, a homeless drifter who wandered multiple states. His record showed a history of mental illness and arrests for public disturbances, but no serious violent crimes. When apprehended in a Chicago park, Richard panicked, screaming that he was being followed. During 3 hours of interrogation, he was incoherent, giving muddled answers and laughing erratically. Timeline checks revealed that on the night Donna disappeared, Richard was in Chicago, confirmed by witnesses and bus station cameras. When this was announced, Grand Rapids sank into familiar disappointment. Each seemingly solid lead crumbled in moments. Donna's family was pushed into another dead end, their fleeting hope extinguished. The image of her mother sitting silently before the sketch, eyes blurred with tears, broke the hearts of many in town. The press, which had hyped the suspicious stranger, now wrote, "Sketch lead, just an illusion." In the police meeting room, frustration was palpable. The lead officer slammed the case file on the table. "We're chasing shadows. The real culprit, if they exist, is one step ahead." Another investigator sighed. "Every time we think we're close to the truth, it vanishes like smoke." Public unease grew. Some believed the case was cursed, with the culprit too clever, leaving only false traps. Others whispered that the police were incompetent, missing critical evidence. But all agreed Donna White couldn't have just vanished, and someone out there knew what happened that fateful night. When the coffee shop stranger lead collapsed, Grand Rapids police returned to Donna's silver sedan, the only silent witness, sealed in the police garage under stark white lights. Forensic technicians scoured it again. They hoped that amid false leads and vague witnesses, the car held overlooked secrets. During a meticulous check, a technician found faint shoe prints on the passenger side floor, medium-sized athletic shoes, unlike any of Donna's. A small dark fabric scrap, different from her usual clothing, was caught on the seatback. The evidence was sealed in plastic bags, and the team saw this as a new linchpin. Analyzing the shoe prints became a priority. Police sent images to experts, comparing them to dozens of popular athletic shoes. They checked the footwear of over 30 people near the scene that night, but none matched perfectly. The faint prints made identification nearly impossible. Undeterred, police used software to enhance and reconstruct the sole pattern, which resembled work boots common among maintenance workers, particularly those worn by Kyle Miller, a 28-year-old maintenance worker living blocks from the scene. Kyle, known as a quiet, gentle man, often seen fixing streetlights or cleaning up, became a focal point when his shoe type matched the print. The investigation shifted. Kyle frequented the area and could easily access the parking lot where Donna vanished. Some neighbors recalled seeing a figure in a dark jacket that night, resembling Kyle. This convinced police they had a real suspect. Kyle was summoned for questioning. In the room, he sat rigid, eyes down, hands twisting. Asked where he was on November 14th, he said he was fixing streetlights uptown, but had no witnesses. This deepened suspicion. Police showed the shoe print comparison, noting its similarity to his work boots. Kyle stammered, I bought my shoes at a market. Lots of people could have similar ones. His trembling voice and sweating brow heightened doubts. News of Kyle Miller, the neighborhood maintenance worker, being detained spread like wildfire. Within a day, local papers and Michigan TV broadcast his image with sensational headlines, "Suspect held in Donna White disappearance." Photos showed Kyle in his work uniform, head bowed, as if already guilty. Neighbors sighed with relief, believing justice was near. Grand Rapids, shaken for days, buzzed in bars, stores and churches, convinced the case was nearing closure. Some openly expressed hatred, throwing rocks at Kyle's windows, leaving his family in fear. Under public pressure, police intensified questioning, reconstructing timelines, and confronting Kyle repeatedly. But the case unraveled. Objective data cleared him, traffic cameras captured him. Biking with tools uptown during Donna's disappearance. Utility company logs confirmed his presence at a repair site. Crucially, DNA from the car's fabric didn't match Kyle. After nearly 2 weeks, lab results showed no trace of him in the car. The final blow was the shoe print size, half a size larger than Kyle's boots. When police released Kyle, Grand Rapids erupted, not in relief, but in anger. People felt betrayed. They had been led to believe the case was solved, only for it to collapse, leaving a deeper void of trust. Donna's family, hoping for answers, sank into despair. Her mother wept in an interview, "Every time we think we've found who hurt our girl, it falls apart. How much more must we endure?" Kyle returned home, but his life was upended. His windows bore marks of thrown rocks, his mailbox stuffed with threats. Colleagues shunned him, friends turned away. In a rare interview, he choked up, "I'm innocent, but to everyone, I'm a monster. Who gives me my honor back?" His words, rather than redeeming the police, fueled public outrage. The Grand Rapids Police Department's credibility plummeted. Legal experts on TV criticized premature announcements without solid evidence. A former prosecutor said, "They made a citizen a scapegoat to appease the public." Elaine Riast decided a scapegoat to appease the public. On social media, #Justice for Donna became #Justice for Kyle, with demands for a public apology. Trust in the police's ability to solve the case wavered, leaving a dangerous gap. If people didn't trust the police, they'd trust rumors. The wave of disappointment spread. Many volunteers who searched for Donna quit, feeling their efforts were futile. They told the press, "Every time police claim a breakthrough, it's just a silent wall." Donna's family was left in a cycle of suspicion and pain. Her father, usually silent, bitterly said, "The police couldn't protect my daughter, and now they've destroyed our faith." In internal meetings, the mood was suffocating. The lead officer admitted, "We've gone too far down the wrong path. The real culprit is still out there." Growing confident, they'll never be caught. A younger investigator exclaimed, "Maybe they left those clues, shoe prints, fabric, to mislead us." The thought chilled everyone. If true, the culprit wasn't just violent, but a cunning manipulator, turning the city into their game. On the 15th night since Donna's disappearance, Grand Rapids was cloaked in thick fog, mirroring the investigation's murkiness. The White family sat at their dining table with missing posters, eyes weary. Police, after 2 weeks mired in false leads, knew their chances were slim. The community, once desperate for answers, now whispered in fear, would Donna White's case fade into oblivion as a cold case, buried in the failures of those who promised to find the truth? After Kyle Miller was cleared and released, trust in the Grand Rapids police hit an all-time low. No one believed the investigation would yield results, and in that void, rumors spread like a plague. Days later, the police hotline buzzed with calls claiming Donna White was spotted in Ohio. A woman swore she saw Donna in a Toledo convenience store, describing a gray hoodie and faded jeans. The media jumped on it, sparking faint hope. Donna's family sent someone to check, but store cameras proved it was a local woman with a similar look. As that news faded, another call came from Chicago. A taxi driver insisted he drove a girl like Donna from the Greyhound station westward. Headlines blared, "Donna White seen in Chicago?" Despite past disappointments, Grand Rapids clung to hope. Donna's parents drove overnight to Chicago, only to learn the driver was mistaken. Bus station cameras showed a different girl, not Donna. Amid the exhaustion from false leads, a shocking call turned the case dangerous. A gruff male voice called the White family directly. "Donna's alive. She's with me. If you want her back, prepare $50,000, cash, untraceable." He rattled off personal details about Donna, like her black coffee habit and a small wrist scar, terrifying the family into believing he held her. Her mother fainted by the phone. Her father trembled, barely holding the receiver. News of the call spread, with headlines screaming, "Culprit demands ransom for Donna White," plunging the city into panic. Police launched a joint operation with the FBI. They rigged the family's phone with recording devices and prepared marked ransom money. When the man called again, his voice calm as if in control, he instructed, "Put the money in a black duffel bag, bring it to Riverside Park at midnight." That night, agents lay in ambush, hidden behind trees, infrared binoculars scanning. At the appointed time, a man appeared, hurriedly checking the designated bench. Seconds later, the park lit up with flashlights, shouts of "FBI, don't move," echoing across the water. The extortionist was caught on the spot. Raymond Clark, 36, an unemployed man living on welfare with a fraud record, was arrested. In his squalid apartment, police found stacks of news clippings about Donna, a notebook with her personal details copied from reports, and a cheap burner phone used for the calls. Raymond admitted, "I thought I could make some money with a ruse. I never met her." His words stabbed the White family's hearts. They had poured hope into the call, believing Donna was alive, only to learn it was a cruel scam. The press, which had trumpeted "Hope Donna's alive," now wrote, "Extortionist caught, a cheap trick, exploiting pain." Public fear turned to rage. Grand Rapids was furious that someone exploited their grief for profit. The greatest toll was emotional. Each false lead eroded trust further. The White family no longer dared believe any call or testimony. Police were exhausted, chasing illusions instead of evidence. At a press conference, the lead officer wearily said, "Every false report costs us days, even weeks." Meanwhile, the truth about Donna remains out of reach. Grand Rapids sank into unease. Children were told not to go out after 9 p.m., and women working night shifts traveled in groups. At church services, people prayed for Donna, but whispered fearful theories. Was she taken out of state? Was the kidnapper smarter than everyone? These questions lingered, unanswered, leaving only growing dread cloaking the city. Days after Raymond Clark's arrest, Grand Rapids fell into its heaviest atmosphere yet. The public was drained of hope, the White family was nearly broken, and police were exhausted by relentless false leads. From November 2008 into 2009, Donna White's case became one of Michigan's most talked about, yet least progressed. Dozens of interrogations, hundreds of hours of camera footage, thousands of public tips, all led nowhere. Each lead was a thread of hope that snapped, deepening the wounds. In November 2009, a year after Donna's disappearance, the Grand Rapids Police Department made a painful decision. The case was classified as cold. Before the press, the lead officer spoke heavily. "We've done all we could, but all valuable evidence has been exhausted. Donna White's case will remain open, and with new technology or information, we'll revisit it." The words rang hollow, a second sentence for the family. An indefinite wait. The White family reacted fiercely. Her father, rarely vocal, faced cameras, voice tight. "My daughter isn't a file in a drawer. She's a life, our child, our flesh and blood. You may close the case, but we won't." Donna's mother collapsed sobbing at the press conference. Her image, dominating the next day's front pages. Each November 14th, the Whites held a small memorial at the park near the parking lot where Donna vanished. They lit candles, placed white roses, and hung photos of the 22-year-old on a metal fence. At first, hundreds joined, but by the second year only dozens came, then just close friends and neighbors. Hope faded, like the weathered missing. Have you seen Donna White? Posters peeling from utility poles. The White home grew darker. Donna's room remained untouched. Checkered green bedspread, a bracelet on the desk. Her mother sat there for hours, whispering as if to her daughter. Her father retreated into silence, tinkering with old items in the garage to avoid grief. Her brother grew distant, skipping memorials. The once close family cracked under an unfillable void. Grand Rapids changed too. Donna's disappearance, once the talk of every meal and church service, faded as years passed without answers, not from apathy, but from the unbearable weight of an unsolved fear. People said, "We may never know the truth." Silence spread, enveloping the city. Donna White's file sat neatly in the cold case unit, stacked with others, labeled missing person, now presumed deceased. Young investigators occasionally read it, but set it aside, finding no leads. In the years that followed, whenever remains were found in forests, rivers, or abandoned houses, the Whites called police, begging for tests to see if it was Donna. Each time, the answer was cold, no match. Each time, their hearts broke further. By 2012, 4 years after her disappearance, the Whites' hope had nearly died. They continued annual memorials, but no one said Donna will come back. Instead, they prayed that if she was gone, her soul rested. Donna White's disappearance became a shadow over Grand Rapids, a painful memory no one dared mention. In the long years the case lay frozen. The culprit, if they existed, remained free. Carrying the secret of the night, Donna left the coffee shop and never returned. In September 2019, over a decade after Donna vanished, a routine morning in Lansing suburbs became a shockwave across Michigan. Workers expanding I-96 near a rarely visited forest uncovered something odd. As the excavator dug into damp soil, tattered fabric emerged. Initially thought to be discarded clothes, a worker screamed upon seeing white bone fragments mixed with mud. The site was sealed. Lansing police arrived, and soon Grand Rapids investigators joined. News of remains found near I-96 flooded every media outlet. Police set up white tarps to shield the scene. Forensic experts in white hazmat suits knelt, sifting through the soil, collecting bone fragments and remaining items. Tattered clothing, a faded pair of jeans, a piece of dark sweater, was placed in evidence bags. When a technician lifted a silver bracelet engraved with DW, the entire scene seemed to hold its breath. Those initials, Donna White, left no doubt. Her family was notified, and Donna's mother, after over a decade of waiting, collapsed again upon hearing her daughter had finally been found. As police cataloged the findings, another detail stunned everyone. A few steps from the remains, buried in rotting leaves, was an intact matchbox with a bold logo. Red Lantern, a bar in East Lansing. Investigators exchanged uneasy glances. According to records, Donna had never been to Lansing or had any connection to the bar. Friends, coworkers, and family confirmed she never frequented it. So why was a matchbox from a strange bar next to her body? It was a new clue, but also a mystery that further tangled the case. Around the scene, media swarmed, reporters thrusting microphones, cameras flashing non-stop. Headlines blazed, Donna White's remains found. After 11 years, engraved bracelet confirms identity, and most crucially, mystery matchbox was Donna White. Taken to Lansing, the state was rocked. Lansing residents, unconnected to the old disappearance, were stunned to learn a piece of the tragedy lay in their soil. Donna's family arrived at the scene that afternoon. Her father stood silent, eyes fixed on the white tarp, lips trembling, unable to speak. Her mother, supported by others, wept, clutching an old handkerchief, whispering, "My daughter, my baby was here all these years." Pain was evident, but a flicker of another emotion shone in their eyes. After 11 long years, Donna was no longer an invisible missing person. She had been found. Police collected all remains, clothing, the bracelet, and especially the strange matchbox. They noted every detail of their positions, photographing the scene from all angles. Forensic experts carefully placed bones in nylon bags, piece by piece, for lab analysis. No one spoke loudly, but all understood the matchbox could be the key to reopening the case, or another cruel misdirection. That night, in the Grand Rapids Police Department's meeting room, tension hung thick. On a large screen, photos of the DW bracelet were displayed beside the red lantern matchbox. An investigator blurted, "If Donna was never in Lansing, either the killer lived there, or they wanted us to think so." The lead officer nodded, eyes grim. "Either way, this is a turning point. The Donna White case is officially reopened." The press latched onto the matchbox, spinning countless theories. Was Donna taken from Grand Rapids that night, or did she have a secret connection to someone in Lansing? Some suspected the matchbox was just debris, but for Donna's family, theories didn't matter. What mattered was that their daughter, though only bones now, had been found. As the city buzzed, a cold truth settled. Donna White's disappearance was no longer a mystery of the past, but a clear murder case, with new evidence and a new scene. Hidden in the forest by I-96, that small matchbox ignited a spark of suspicion, signaling a new wave of investigation about to sweep everyone back into an obsessive spiral where the truth still lurked like a shadow waiting to be unmasked. The Lansing Forensic Lab burned bright for nights after the remains were found. Evidence boxes from the scene were transferred for testing. Each bone, fabric scrap, and item numbered and stored. On a cold steel table, Donna White's skeleton was pieced together, restoring the present stolen for 11 years. Forensics began with the skull. A crack along the temple indicated a heavy blow, possibly from a blunt object. Another fracture on a rib suggested she was kicked or pressed against a hard surface. All signs pointed to violence, not a natural death or accident. Donna's family, briefed on the findings, sat in silence, eyes red. Pain they thought exhausted surged again. As the truth emerged, their daughter hadn't just vanished. She was brutally killed. The dark sweater, seemingly useless after a decade underground, became critical evidence. Forensics teased apart its fibers, examining them under microscopes and treating them with specialized chemicals. The result shocked everyone. A tiny, nearly invisible bloodstain on the collar wasn't Donna's, but a man's. For the first time in 11 years, investigators had a direct biological trace of the killer. Hope flared like a new flame in the lab. Grand Rapids police received the results on a rainy afternoon. Investigators tensed as the data was entered into CODIS, the national DNA database. They hoped for a match to a familiar name. Mark Daniels, the ex-boyfriend, Kyle, the maintenance worker, or even the truck owner. But the screen coldly displayed no match. The male DNA on Donna's sweater didn't align with any prior suspects or records. The room fell silent, disbelief heavy. After all these years, they faced a new wall. News leaked fast, with headlines blaring. Mystery DNA not linked to any past suspects. Public reaction erupted. Those convinced Kyle or Mark was guilty began doubting everything. Grand Rapids slipped into quiet chaos. If the DNA didn't belong to known suspects, the killer was still out there. Someone never noticed, never investigated. Forensics continued examining the bones. A fracture on Donna's right arm suggested she fought back, raising it to block a blow. Her fingernails, though decayed, held keratin traces. Technicians tried extracting DNA, hoping for skin from an attacker. Donna scratched in desperation. But the results yielded only fragmented DNA, insufficient for full analysis. The forensic report, sent to police, weighed heavy with bolded lines. Death by violence. Male perpetrator. DNA unidentified. Grand Rapids police reopened the entire case, now on a new path. Old theories about the ex-boyfriend, the strange coworker, the maintenance worker, all became irrelevant. The killer could be someone entirely new, unmentioned for 11 years. Donna's family was dragged back into exhaustion. Her mother whispered in an interview, We suspected so many people, now it's none of them. Who's out there? Who took my daughter's life? Fear spread through the community. Many Grand Rapids women eyed strangers warily. Reporters wrote, "New DNA discovery." Hope and fear intertwined. At a press conference, the lead investigator admitted the challenge. "We hoped the DNA would point to a familiar name, but truth isn't always that simple. We're starting over." Flashes popped as reporters fired questions. Is the killer someone never suspected? Could they still live among us? But silence was the only reply. That night, in a dim corner of the station, a young investigator whispered to a colleague, "Maybe the matchbox by the remains is the key. The DNA doesn't match anyone in Grand Rapids. The killer might be from Lansing." The thought planted a seed, hinting at new paths and untapped clues. Forensics confirmed Donna was murdered. But the biggest question, who did it, remained unanswered, deepening the case's complexity. The male DNA on the sweater loomed like a strange shadow, offering hope of finding the killer while casting a pall had they chased the wrong trails for 11 years. While the real culprit lived quietly somewhere in Michigan. When forensics confirmed the DNA matched no prior suspects, Grand Rapids police brought in new personnel. In November 2019, nearly 11 years after Donna's disappearance, young Lieutenant Ben Kramer was assigned lead investigator. Known for his meticulousness, Kramer overlooked no detail, no matter how small. Dusty 2008 case files were pulled from storage, stacked on his desk. He read every report. Witness statements, Donna's car inspection logs, notes on the discarded women's shoe, and lists of interrogated suspects. For hours, he pored over lines, scribbling in an old black notebook. Kramer focused on dismissed testimonies labeled unreliable or irrelevant. To him, any piece could be a key if placed correctly. On a cold late-month afternoon, Kramer found a brief note from a 2008 patrol officer, a scrawled line about an elderly woman seeing a dark-colored vintage Cadillac near the coffee shop lot at 10:30 p.m. In 2008, it was ignored for lack of corroboration. Kramer tracked down the witness, Margaret Lowell, now over 80, living in a small house near the old lot. Lowell's memory was fading, but with Kramer's patient prompting, her eyes lit up. "Yes, I remember that car," she said, voice trembling. "An old Cadillac, dark green, headlights dim, almost out. I saw it when I heard footsteps outside my window. It was so cold, I pulled the curtain to look." She stressed the license plate was muddy, but began with "uncommon in Michigan." Kramer noted it carefully, pulse quickening. No Cadillac was among the vehicles checked in 2008. He ordered the state's vehicle registry to search for dark green Cadillacs in Grand Rapids at the time. After hours, a name emerged, James Harlow, a high school teacher who lived in Grand Rapids until early 2009, then left without a clear forwarding address. Kramer requested all records on Harlow, employment, residency, bank accounts. Data showed he lived alone, kept to himself, and often moved at night. No direct evidence linked him to Donna, but his Cadillac near the scene the night she vanished, plus his past residence in Lansing, was too coincidental for a case full of shadows. Donna's family, hearing of the lead, felt hope reignite. "We've been misled so many times," her father told the press. "But this feels different. I believe this is real." Media pounced, publishing headlines, "Mysterious Cadillac in Donna White files, teacher who left Grand Rapids, coincidence or suspect." Public buzz grew, everyone discussing the odd history teacher who lived quietly among them. In a closed meeting, Kramer and his team debated through the night. A veteran investigator warned, "We can't jump to conclusions. Harlow might just have been there." Kramer replied firmly, "Some coincidences kill a case. I don't believe this is chance." He resolved to dig deeper, focusing on Harlow's time in Lansing. If Donna was killed there, Harlow must have left traces. The Cadillac and mysterious teacher shifted the investigation's course. From a dead-end case, a new figure emerged, a shadow lurking for 11 years. As Grand Rapids buzzed, investigators quietly prepared their next move. For the first time in over a decade, they had a new name to pursue. James Harlow, the man with the Cadillac, who left the city just as Donna White left the world. After Harlow's name surfaced, Lieutenant Ben Kramer ordered a full reconstruction of the November 14, 2008 timeline, the night Donna vanished. He tasked technicians with reviewing hundreds of hours of old footage from the coffee shop, Division Avenue traffic cameras, and grainy surveillance around the lot. Each frame was slowed, zoomed, and pieced together like forgotten puzzle pieces. Initial results were clear. At 9:58 p.m., Donna left the shop, holding her jacket and phone. At 10:05, a main road camera caught her silver sedan's headlights moving slowly toward the lot, but she never drove away. At 10:17, a camera blocks away faintly captured a dark green vintage Cadillac creeping toward the lot. The team cross-checked phone data. Donna's phone pinged last at 10:20 near a tower on Grand Rapids outskirts, matching the disappearance area. After that, her signal died. Oddly, Harlow's phone, the high school teacher, also pinged in the same area from 10:15 to 10:40. He hadn't reported traveling, and records showed he lived 8 miles away. If the signal was accurate, why was his phone near Donna's disappearance? Kramer reviewed witness statements. Besides Lowell's Cadillac sighting, a gas station worker near the scene recalled a dark green vintage car refueling at 10:35. The driver, a thin man around 40 with glasses, hid his face. In 2008, police dismissed it as unrelated. Now, matched with Harlow's profile, thin, glasses, salt and pepper hair, it was eerily consistent. Piecing together the timeline revealed a chilling gap from 10:20 to 10:50. No cameras captured Donna's car or the Cadillac moving. This gap aligned with the drive to Lansing, where her remains were found 11 years later. I-96 directly connects Grand Rapids to Lansing, and the forest by the highway, the discovery site, was within that 30-minute window. Like a dark tear in time, it suggested Donna was taken from the city in that unwitnessed half hour. Kramer presented the findings in a closed meeting. Pointing to a chart, he said, 10:20, Donna's signal drops. 10:35, the Cadillac appears at the gas station. 10:50, Harlow's car is back near his apartment. This 30-minute gap is enough to take her to the I-96 forest. The room fell silent, pens tapping. An officer spoke, but where's the hard evidence? It's just a timeline. Kramer nodded, resolute. The timeline is our thread. If we find DNA or another witness putting Donna in that Cadillac, the case turns. The timeline's alignment with the body's location unnerved everyone. Map analysts noted the drive from the coffee shop lot to the forest took about 25 minutes. This explained the Lansing bar matchbox near the remains. Either Donna was taken there that night, or the killer lived in Lansing and left a deliberate misdirection. The press seized the detail, running headlines, fatal 30-minute gap. Grand Rapids whispered, was Donna abducted and whisked away in just half an hour? Her family, hearing the news, felt deeper pain. It happened so fast, her father choked. Just half an hour, and our daughter was gone forever. Kramer knew, without concrete evidence to fill the 30-minute gap, it remained a theory. He ordered recovery of old I-96 traffic camera data, though most were overwritten. He also checked Harlow's credit card receipts, Cadillac GPS data, and call logs from that night. Surprisingly, at 10:43, Harlow made a 12-second call to a Lansing payphone, now defunct, but logged. It showed he had a connection to Lansing in that critical gap. Late that day, Kramer wrote in his notebook, the 30-minute gap holds the key. Harlow is the first name to fit the witness, the signal, and Lansing. No turning back. He knew he was in a new race, to turn a whole riddled timeline into a trap, to catch the one who took Donna White's life. While Kramer's team pieced together the Cadillac timeline, forensics pursued the male DNA on Donna's sweater. The earlier CODIS check yielded no match, but science had advanced since 2008. Kramer authorized sending the sample to a Virginia genetic genealogy lab known for cracking cold cases. Fibers were reprocessed with cutting-edge extraction tech, and weeks later, a robust genetic profile was ready. When results returned, the Grand Rapids forensic team held their breath. Genealogists couldn't name the killer, but built a family tree from public ancestry databases. One surname stood out repeatedly: Harlan, tied to Kalamazoo, 50 miles south of Grand Rapids. Kramer stared at the sprawling family tree projected on screen, names and connections like a web. The analyst explained, the DNA on Donna's sweater matches the Harlan lineage, likely a male descendant born in the 1960s, 70s. He pointed to a dense branch, a Harlan family with 6 sons, scattered around Kalamazoo during Donna's disappearance. The news electrified the room. After years of groping, they had a geographic area and a specific surname. Kramer's team dove into dissecting the family tree. The genealogy map covered the meeting room walls, names marked in red. One quickly became the focus: David Harlan, 50. A mechanic living quietly in Grand Rapids suburbs. Records showed he rented an apartment half a mile from Donna's coffee shop in 2008. He worked at a nearby auto shop, frequented the area, and crucially, owned a dark green vintage Cadillac. When Kramer raised David's name in a meeting, a veteran investigator shivered. "I remember him," he whispered. "He was in 2008 news footage about Donna's search." The room froze, then scrambled to check archives. Sure enough, a November 2008 local broadcast showed dozens of volunteers searching a park. In the front, a man in a heavy coat and knit cap, holding a flashlight, stood out: David Harlan. He gave a brief interview, voice low. "We won't stop until we find her. This is our community, and we protect each other." Kramer replayed the news clip multiple times. David's face under the camera's light was clear, calm, no trace of panic. A young investigator remarked, "He might have wanted to control the narrative. Showing up on TV both gave him a cover and let him track the investigation." The thought sent chills through the room, recalling cases where killers returned to the scene or even joined the search for their victims. To bolster suspicion, Kramer dug into David's past. Financial records showed he was drowning in debt in 2008, with an unstable job at the auto shop. Former neighbors described him drinking alone, with an erratic temper. A woman who worked with him recalled him lingering near the coffee shop where Donna worked, using excuses like car repairs or asking for directions. When police reviewed the list of volunteers from the 2008 search campaign, David Harlan's name was there, scrawled in messy handwriting. Back then, no one saw him as suspicious. On the contrary, they thanked him for his dedication to the community. Kramer ordered discreet surveillance on David, now living in a small house off the highway in Kalamazoo. They monitored his routine: mornings at the auto shop, evenings drinking beer in his garage. One night, they saw him retrieve an old wooden box from the attic, carefully wipe it down, then hide it again. Police suspected it might contain mementos or evidence tied to Donna. Without a search warrant, they could only wait. Meanwhile, forensics compared the DNA from Donna's sweater to samples from a beer can David discarded in his trash. The result was near perfect a match. The report sent the team into a frenzy. They had found the man they'd hunted for over a decade. But Kramer remained cautious. He knew an 11-year case could collapse on a single mistake. He ordered more: phone records, GPS data, corroborating witness statements. Donna's family was stunned to learn David had joined the 2008 search. Her mother choked in an interview. "He stood beside us, walked with us, pretending to help. All along he knew where my daughter was." Her outrage and pain echoed across the city, reigniting the case as a hot topic. Headlines screamed, "David Harlan, from community hero to prime suspect." In a private meeting, Kramer wrote in his notebook, "We saw the killer's face long ago but didn't recognize it. He stood in the light, hiding behind false kindness." He looked at David's enlarged photo from the 2008 broadcast, those empty, calm eyes, and knew the net was tightening. The team prepared the next step: reconstructing David's timeline on the day Donna vanished, interviewing those who searched alongside him, and gathering more physical evidence before requesting an arrest warrant. For the first time in over a decade, a specific man's name was on the scales of justice, a face once familiar to the community, now exposed as a cracked mask. With David Harlan as the prime suspect, Lieutenant Ben Kramer knew every move forward had to be airtight. He assigned a team to shadow David around the clock. 2 unmarked police cars took turns parking at the end of his Kalamazoo Street, while agents posed as regulars at the auto shop where he worked. The goal wasn't an immediate arrest, but to gather undeniable evidence, DNA matching the sample on Donna White's sweater. Police knew David's habit of drinking beer after work. He'd sit alone in his garage, old radio on, cracking open cheap cans. When finished, he tossed them into the front yard trash. One night in early December, the surveillance team moved in. 2 plainclothes agents approached the bin after David turned off his lights, quietly collecting 3 cans with lip marks. Sealed in evidence bags, they were sent to the Grand Rapids Forensic Lab. Days later, the results came back. DNA on the cans matched the sample from Donna's sweater perfectly. The report boldly stated, "Match, probability 99.999%. Kramer gripped the case file, feeling both relief and dread. This was the biological evidence they'd waited 11 years for. To be certain, he ordered another confirmation. The team waited until David smoked a cigarette on his porch. When he flicked the butt to the ground, an agent retrieved it. DNA from the cigarette again matched the sweater sample, 100%. No gaps remained. David Harlan left his trace on the victim's body. Internally, the mood was electric yet tense. A veteran investigator slammed the table. "We have DNA. A timeline, witnesses about the Cadillac, and video of him in the 2008 search. No doubt left." But Kramer stayed measured. "We need a bulletproof case. If we rely on DNA alone without the full picture, his lawyer will tear it apart in court." Meanwhile, news of the investigation leaked. Some reporters learned police were tracking David Harlan. His family immediately defended him. His brother told TV crews, "David's not that kind of man. He's lived honestly, worked hard, no criminal record." The police are chasing a mistake. David's ex-wife, long divorced, insisted he was not violent and loved his kids. These defenses split public opinion. Some believed the police had their man. Others feared another trap like before. The White family followed the news in silence. Hearing the beer can DNA matched, Donna's father nodded, voice trembling. "This is the first time I believe we've touched the truth." But her mother ached. "He stood beside me searching for my daughter, and now he's the killer. I can't believe it." In a closed meeting, Kramer outlined the plan: continue monitoring David, seek more physical evidence, perhaps Donna's belongings hidden away, or traces in the old Cadillac if it still existed. He knew the case had gone wrong too many times. This time, they had to tighten the noose inch by inch, ensuring an undeniable arrest warrant. Grand Rapids watched every move. Headlines were both sensational and cautious. David Harlan, new suspect or scapegoat. At the coffee shop where Donna worked, patrons whispered, remembering David lingering nearby years ago. A new witness called the station, claiming to have seen Donna talking to a man resembling David before she vanished. Each piece sharpened the picture, and the shadows cloaking 11 years began to dissolve. In his black notebook, Kramer wrote after the second DNA report, "Game over. Harlan is the one we've been hunting." But he knew a tough fight loomed, not just to arrest David, but to face him in court against his family, community, and a public not ready to believe the familiar face from 2008 TV was a cold-blooded killer. After DNA from the beer cans and cigarette butt perfectly matched the sample on Donna White's sweater, Kramer's team knew the noose around David Harlan was suffocatingly tight. But Kramer didn't rush for an arrest warrant. He understood that in court, David's lawyer would try to sow doubt in the jury. They needed one more piece, something from David's own words or actions, to prove he wasn't just coincidentally linked by DNA, but carried the crime in his heart. A lead came unexpectedly. One afternoon, the police hotline received a call from Elaine Porter, a middle-aged woman who knew David Harlan in 2010, 2 years after Donna's disappearance. Elaine said she'd stayed silent for years, fearing she'd sound paranoid. But news of David's investigation brought memories flooding back. Kramer immediately invited her to the station for a statement. In the interrogation room, Elaine, in a thick coat, clutched a hot coffee, hands trembling. She recounted meeting David at a small Lansing bar after he moved there. They talked, drank, and briefly dated. Elaine recalled David's silences, his distant gaze, but when drunk, he'd turned strange. Once, she said, voice hoarse. In his garage, surrounded by empty beer cans, he laughed coldly and muttered, "She'll never come back." I asked, "Who?" But he just laughed, shook his head, and went quiet. I didn't understand then, thought he meant an ex-wife or lover. Now, hearing about Donna White, it chills me. Kramer sat still, jotting every word. It wasn't a direct confession, but it came from David's mouth, too close in time, just 2 years after Donna vanished, in a city tied to her remains discovery a decade later. To verify, police asked Elaine to detail the setting. She described the small garage, its oil smell, old car posters on the walls, and a strange wooden box David kept in a corner. Kramer recalled the surveillance team seeing David handle a similar box in his attic. This coincidence bolstered Elaine's credibility. The legal team discussed it. A seasoned prosecutor noted, "It's not a direct confession, but with a DNA match, this testimony is powerful. It shows guilt and an inadvertent slip by the suspect." But when Elaine's story leaked, David's family reacted. His brother told the press, "David drank a lot," said nonsense. Using drunken words as murder evidence is absurd. His ex-wife snapped, "David could be jealous, moody, but not a killer. Don't trust a scorned woman." Grand Rapids split again. Some saw this as the final piece. Others feared a fabricated story. The White family froze, hearing, "She'll never come back." Donna's mother sobbed, "Dear God, he was talking about my daughter. He knew. He always knew." Her words haunted the city, splashed across the Grand Rapids press with the headline, "Indirect Confession from Suspect David Harlan." Internally, Kramer sensed a turning point. He gathered the team, pointing to a wall chart. "We have matching DNA. We have a timeline placing his Cadillac in the 30-minute gap. We have a witness hearing him say she'll never come back. The picture is complete." A young investigator nodded. "He's no longer a shadow. He has a name, a face, a voice." But Kramer knew the case needed to be airtight for court. He ordered Elaine's statement formalized, recorded, and signed, while seeking others who heard David say similar things. Another team investigated the mysterious wooden box, but they needed a search warrant. That night, Kramer sat alone in his office, looking out at Grand Rapids' twinkling streets. He thought of Donna White, the young woman who left the coffee shop smiling, only to vanish in a fatal 30-minute gap. He thought of the Whites' 11 years of despair, the wrong turns, the falsely accused. And now, it all converged on a man who dared stand under TV lights, pretending to search for the victim he buried. In his black notebook, Kramer wrote, "We have a confession, even if indirect." Sometimes, in long cases, one careless word outweighs 1,000 proofs. With Elaine Porter's piece, the noose around David Harlan tightened, carrying a moral weight. The community heard his voice echo from the past. All eyes turned to Grand Rapids police, awaiting the moment the mechanic's mask would be torn off, revealing the killer hiding for 11 years. With Elaine Porter's testimony about "she'll never come back," Lieutenant Ben Kramer knew the trap was set. Now it was about arranging every piece into an airtight case, leaving no gaps for David Harlan's defense to exploit. In the third-floor meeting room of the Grand Rapids Police Department, white light fell on stacks of thick files. Investigators surrounded the table, each presenting their completed work. First was forensics. A technician presented a nearly 200-page report. DNA on Donna's sweater matched the beer can and cigarette butt. David discarded 100%. "This is the red thread tying him directly to the victim," Kramer stressed. "Not speculation, not rumors, pure science." Next was the timeline. A large map spread across the table, marked with red dots. 9:58 p.m. Donna left the coffee shop. 10:05. Cameras caught her silver sedan. 10:17. A dark green Cadillac, appeared near the lot. 10:20. Donna's phone pinged last, as David Harlan's phone signaled in the same area. 10:35. The Cadillac stopped at a gas station, the driver hiding his face. 10:50. David's phone pinged near his apartment, all aligned with the fatal 30-minute gap to Lansing, where Donna's remains were found. Kramer tapped the table. Timelines don't lie. He was there at the right time. Then the witnesses. A young investigator reported, Mrs. Lowell confirmed the dark green Cadillac. The gas station worker described a thin, glasses-wearing man hiding his face. And Elaine Porter, his former lover, heard him say, "She'll never come back." It all points one way. A photo file flashed on screen. David in the 2008 news clip, joining the search. His calm face, cold eyes. He didn't just hide, Kramer said. He stood before us, playing a silent act with the community. Kent County Prosecutor Marissa Gomez was invited for the final briefing. She sat, arms crossed, listening, occasionally nodding. When Kramer concluded, "We believe there's no doubt, David Harlan killed Donna White," the room went silent. Gomez scanned the team, eyes sharp, then said slowly, "I agree, this is a strong case. We have DNA, a timeline, witnesses, an indirect confession. I'll sign the arrest warrant." The moment electrified the room. Investigators sank into chairs, many exhaling after 11 years chasing a shadow. Kramer gripped his black notebook, writing, December 19, 2019. Prosecutor approves David Harlan's arrest warrant. But no one forgot the toughest work lay ahead. Arresting a former community hero wouldn't be easy. David's family and neighbors defended him, and public opinion was divided. An investigator warned, "We must be discreet. A leak could make him flee or rally the community against us." Kramer nodded. He formed two teams, one to monitor David 24/7, another to plan a safe arrest. The operation was set for early morning, when David left for the auto shop, his guard lowest. They'd seal the street, apprehending him on the road without time to react. That night, as the warrant was signed, Kramer sat alone in his office, gazing at snow-covered Grand Rapids streets. He thought of Donna, the 22-year-old, lost in a 30-minute gap, and the Whites, living a decade in pain's abyss. He thought of the community, deceived by a man who joined their search. Now, he felt justice's weight settling back into place. In his black notebook, he wrote, "Tomorrow we close this circle." The Kent County courtroom was packed the morning David Harlan's trial began. Media from across Michigan and nearby states flooded Grand Rapids, cameras lining the courthouse steps. Donna White's family sat in the front row, faces rigid, eyes blending anticipation and fear. Across the aisle, David's family stood firm, believing him innocent. The community's divide was clear in the attendees' gazes. Half believed justice had arrived, half thought police framed an innocent man. Prosecutor Marissa Gomez opened before the jury. Her voice boomed, each word heavy. "This case has haunted Grand Rapids for over a decade. But now science, time, and the defendant's own words have led us to the truth. We will prove David Harlan abducted and murdered Donna White on November 14, 2008, then hid his crime for 11 years. She presented the DNA evidence. A large screen showed lab images, the sweater's fabric, extracted DNA, and comparisons with David's beer can and cigarette butt. The report blazed. Match, 99.9999%. No doubt remains, Gomez stressed. Only one person left this trace, the defendant. Next was the fatal timeline. An electronic map displayed, marked with red dots. Gomez pointed, 9:58. Donna left the coffee shop, 10:05. Cameras caught her car. 10:17, the defendant's dark green Cadillac appeared near the lot. 10:20, Donna's phone pinged last, matching the defendant's phone in the same area. 10:35. The Cadillac stopped at a gas station, the driver described as a thin, glasses-wearing man, like the defendant. 10:50, the defendant's phone pinged near his apartment. Just 30 minutes, the fatal 30 minutes. The courtroom was breathless. Gomez called Elaine Porter, David's former acquaintance. Elaine stood trembling but firm. "He told me, drunk, she'll never come back." I didn't know who he meant then, but now I'm sure it was Donna. Her testimony chilled the room. Donna's mother sobbed. David sat pale, unmoving. As the prosecution rested its opening, David's defense attorney, Charles Denton, a sharp figure, stepped forward. Facing the jury, his voice cut, "Ladies and gentlemen, this case isn't about truth, it's about desperation. The police failed for 11 years, and now need someone to pin it on. DNA? You must know fabric can be contaminated. Beer cans and trash can be swapped. The timeline? They drew a gap and stuffed my client into it. The witness? A scorned woman, twisting drunken words into murder evidence. This isn't justice, it's a performance." The rebuttal cut through the air like a blade. Some in the courtroom nodded in agreement. Attorney Denton pressed on. "Remember, for all these years, David Harlan was a model citizen. He joined the search for Donna, appeared on TV rallying the community, who would be both a murderer and search for their own victim. This story doesn't add up. The trial was intense, each side hurling evidence and arguments like hammer blows at the jury. The prosecution presented images of the old Cadillac, David's residency records, and the Lansing connection where Donna's remains were found. The defense countered that coincidences don't equal guilt, and the police had framed an innocent man just because he owned an old car and lived near the scene. When the balance seemed unbreakable, Prosecutor Gomez unleashed a new witness uncovered by Kramer's team. Roy Callahan, a former co-worker of David's at the auto shop, took the stand. Hesitant, he swore the oath and faced the jury. "I didn't know if I should say this, but years ago around 2011, we were drinking after work." David laughed, half joking, and said, "I got away with something big. Over 10 years, and no one's touched me." When I asked what, he just shook his head, smiling slyly. I thought it was bravado, but hearing about Donna White, I couldn't stay silent. His words hit the courtroom like a bomb. Attorney Denton leapt up, objecting, calling it a late fabrication to smear his client. But the prosecution fired back. "This testimony aligns with all other evidence, DNA, timeline, witnesses. It shows the defendant believed he'd hidden his crime for over a decade." The jury murmured, many eyeing David with suspicion. He sat motionless, hands clenched, sweat beading on his forehead. His family shook their heads, while Donna's family wept, clinging to each other. The trial paused, tension thick. Reporters rushed out, headlines blaring. Former co-worker David Harlan boasted of escaping crime for over 10 years. Grand Rapids, long divided, began leaning one way. Perhaps the true killer had been unmasked. In the preparation room, Kramer whispered to Prosecutor Gomez, "We've hit what he feared most." His own words. "No escape now." Gomez nodded, eyes blazing. "Now we wait for the jury's decision." On the morning of the verdict, Kent County courtroom was deathly silent. Hundreds of eyes fixed on the wooden door where the jury would emerge. The White family sat in front, hands clasped, eyes red from sleepless nights. Across, David Harlan's family was present, trying to stay calm, but faces taut with worry. David himself sat head bowed, face ashen, hands gripping the table, awaiting the verdict that would seal his fate after 11 years of hiding. When the door opened, the jury filed in, steps heavy. The air froze. The judge asked the fateful question, "Has the jury reached a verdict?" The foreperson stood, voice firm but trembling slightly. "Yes, Your Honor, we find the defendant David Harlan guilty of first-degree murder of Donna White." The words thundered. Donna's mother burst into tears, collapsing into her husband's arms, while her father wept, letting go of his stoicism for the first time in over a decade. Her brother and sister clung together, sobbing. The Whites had lived 11 years in a chasm of loss and doubt, and now, finally, justice had spoken. Across the aisle, David's family was stunned. His brother leapt up, shouting, "No, he's innocent. This is a conspiracy." But security quickly made him sit. David remained bowed, silent, eyes vacant. Some said he whispered, "I didn't want to be caught," but the microphone was too far to confirm. Grand Rapids reeled. The killer wasn't a stranger from afar, but a familiar face. who'd been on TV, searched for Donna alongside them, shone flashlights in the park, and called to find her. The thought chilled everyone. For years, the murderer stood among them, blending into the crowd, feigning shared grief. Post-trial Michigan papers ran headlines, "Justice after 11 years, David Harlan convicted of Donna White's murder." National outlets followed, calling it a landmark cold case solved by DNA technology. Forensic and legal experts on TV praised Grand Rapids investigators' persistence and the revolutionary role of genealogical DNA, which opened the final door to the killer. For the White family, the verdict couldn't bring Donna back, but closed a dark chapter. Her mother, at a press conference, choked, "We waited 11 years for this moment. Donna can rest. She hasn't been forgotten." Her father, face weathered but eyes bright, said justice may come late, but it came. Grand Rapids, once distrustful of police after missteps, found pride. They knew persistence and scientific advances solved the case. Donna White's case became a symbol. Justice can be delayed, but not buried. Other families of missing loved ones began hoping their cases could reopen with new DNA tech. The judge sentenced David Harlan to life without parole. He was led from the courtroom, hands cuffed, face gray. As he passed between the rows, Grand Rapids residents watched, some teary, some clenching fists, whispering, "Finally, he pays." That evening, Grand Rapids glowed with candles. At the park where futile searches once occurred, hundreds gathered, lighting Donna White's photo with rows of white candles. They sang, prayed, and stood in silent tribute to the 22-year-old taken too soon. In that light, Donna's case was no longer just tragedy, but a community symbol, proof of memory, justice, and science's power. Donna White's story and the decade-long quest for justice reflect a painful yet profound reality for American society today. Donna vanished in a mere 30-minute gap after her coffee shop shift in Grand Rapids, leaving her car with belongings intact. This shows crime can strike in the safest-seeming settings, reminding us, especially women working late shifts, that vigilance is never excessive. The family and community's efforts, posting flyers, organizing volunteers, facing repeated disappointment from false leads, mirror Americans' constant fear of rumors and misinformation spreading fast. The lesson is to avoid rushing to believe or share unverified information, as it can deeply hurt victims' families and derail investigations. Most crucially, this case was solved through genealogical DNA. From blood on Donna's sweater to the Harlan family in Kalamazoo, this underscores science's growing role in U.S. justice. Justice may be late, but with technological advances, killers struggle to hide forever. Meanwhile, David Harlan's role in the search and TV appearance as a community hero is a chilling reminder that criminals sometimes stand among the empathetic crowd. In modern America, where communities often unite in tragedy, this teaches us to balance compassion with caution. The final lesson from Donna White is persistence's power. Through a family's relentless push to reopen the case, police's refusal to quit, and a community's enduring memory, justice was served. In today's society, this urges every American to keep speaking out, keep memories alive, and trust in justice's power, no matter how long the wait. If you believe justice, even if late, is worth persistent pursuit, subscribe to the channel to follow more chilling cases. Thank you for listening to Donna White's story, and see you in the next video for another journey seeking truth.